Hello, I'm John Martin with the Michigan Korean Times News Point, and once again we're here with Dr. Pak. And today we're going to talk about North Korea, the relationship between North and South, as well as the United States.
Right.
And now I noticed after the Olympics in 2018, the Winter Olympics, the relationships changed very quickly between the North and the South. And it looks like they're going to have the third summit coming up, the third summit.
Right.
And what do you think should be discussed at the summit? It's with Moon and Kim.
Yeah, I think we have a really eye-opening situation there between North and South, with Kim Jong-un and Moon Jae-in in South. Moon Jae-in, as you know, is a very liberal type of president. And his major responsibility he feels is to improve the relationship between North and South and maintain the peace. And Kim Jong-un's major objective talking with South Korea is to improve the relationship, avoid war, maintain more peaceful situations so that they can improve, so that they were able to improve the economic status of North. So in a way of speaking, their objectives coincide with each other. So I'm pretty optimistic that meeting between Moon Jae-in and Kim Jong-un will produce a really epochal change in the Korean Peninsula.
So what is different between now, the summit coming up, and the previous two summits where the agreements haven't really been followed by either side? What do you think is going to change things here?
I think previous summit, first summit was in 2000, and they made all the necessary agreements there, like a non-aggression pact, and at the time there was no nuclearization, but the mutual understanding of the possibility of peace between these two countries. I mean, they cannot have any more war. So effect of non-aggression pact and economic cooperation between them and so forth. But none of them really became realized, mainly because from my point of view, their summit meetings should be on a regular basis to follow up on an annual basis. In South Korea, they have a conservative segment of the society who are opposed to making peaceful relationship with North Korea. So that's one of the reasons that they made the agreement, but implementation was not followed very closely. As you see, this first summit meeting was 2000.
And then the next one was 2007.
And then the second was 2007.
Yes.
So why they meet 7 years later?
Right. So do you think after this meeting between Kim and Moon, there'll be more regularly scheduled meetings?
I feel they now realize the mistakes they made, both between North and South. And I have a feeling that Moon Jae-in and Kim Jong-un will maintain, continue the communication. One thing I found that they set up a direct line of communication between Kim Jong-un and Moon Jae-in. So at this point in time, from now on, if something happens and Moon Jae-in want to talk to Kim Jong-un right away, they could pick up the phone and they can talk to each other.
Great. The hotline.
Yeah, hotline.
Yep.
And that's a good thing. And then I'm proposing that even with that, they should have a regular meeting every 6 months in somewhere, maybe in DMZ or Pyongyang or Seoul, so that any issues that come up between North and South that cannot be resolved very easily at a lower level can be handled at the highest level between two. So one of the things that I want to mention to American public is the fact that Moon Jae-in is, South Korea is a democratic society, just like United States. So Moon Jae-in has a term limit, So their presidential term is 4 years. if he can get re-elected, I'm sure he will get re-elected. There will be another 4 years, but 8. After 8 years, we're not sure whether he will still be in a blue house. But up north in Pyongyang, this guy will be there forever.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be going anywhere, does he?
Yeah, he's not going to go anywhere. And their dictator, how's that, socialist regime and family rule. And he's due to the fact that he's such a young age. When he assumed the leadership, he was only 28.
Yes.
So he will be there for many generations of South Korean president and also United States president. So we will be dealing with this guy for a long time, and this is something that the United States and South Korea should realize and accept it. When he says something, it's going to go on for a long time.
Right.
But when he says Moon Jae-in, probably 8 years later, it may change. With Trump, maybe 4 years later.
4 years,
so,
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about now the United States relationship with North Korea. Now, President Trump has said that he does not want to repeat the mistakes of the past. They may not have been mistakes, but that's what he calls them. And he wants to do things differently now with this meeting that's supposed to happen maybe in July, hopefully. But anyway, what are some of the conditions that he's wants to make before they have this meeting?
I have a feeling that Kim Jong-un is pretty ready to talk with the United States in terms of his confidence in his position. With nuclearization and effective missile ICBM, and improve the relationship between North and South, so he does not have to worry about dealing with the United States, where in between is South Korea.
Right.
Actually, South Koreans wanted the Kim Jong-un to meet with Trump.
Okay.
So he, as far as he's concerned, he's really from his point of view, he's in an ideal situation to talk with the United States. Now, President Trump, I think maybe also a good partner to talk with, because he's pretty, how should I put it, he's very quick decision-making person to say favorably to him. Sometimes you feel like you feel like he doesn't know what he's talking about, but he can always change his mind very quickly.
Right.
I think that one of the most recent example of that is the fact that he fired the Secretary of State while he's even at work in Africa doing a diplomatic job. Then he was fired, and then a new guy came in who has he may be very conservative Secretary of State, but at the same time, he has a guy who has a very close relationship with Donald Trump. Yes. And so Donald Trump now has a person in State Department to whom he can issue an order, and then for sure that he will follow up. So I think in a way, although new guy is a little bit more conservative person, but his line of communication with his boss, Trump, is very good. So this might help actually improving the relationship between North Korea and United States.
So what about the conditions for the meeting? It seems that the current administration wants denuclearization as one of the topics that has to be discussed during this meeting. Now, Kim is, obviously, he has the ICBMs, as you said. Do you think now Kim is at the same level as Trump on the world stage, that he feels that he can talk to him as an equal?
Yeah. I have a feeling that Kim is now in a good position to talk about denuclearization, but the main reason I feel major optimism between this talk between Kim and Trump is the fact that Trump stopped insisting that we will talk with you only when you commit denuclearization. Then Kim Jong-un, the North Korean position is that if we denuclear, there's nothing to talk about. You will be maybe American soldiers will be walking in the street of Pyongyang. if we do,
Yeah, exactly.
do not have a nuclearization. So we will talk about denuclearization. Denuclearization is not a condition of talk, but the subject of a talk.
A topic of discussion.
Topic of the
has to
discussion.
be talked about.
Right.
What else do they really have to talk about anyway?
Right.
You know?
So that's a kind of big changes of situation between the two. And also, I think I might want to add that when we say denuclearization and when they say denuclearization, there may be a difference in the concept of what the meaning of the word. When they say denuclearization, they are thinking in terms of, okay, denuclearization of Korea, not just to their side, which means that they have nuclear weapons and missiles now, effective delivery system, but we've been having nuclear weapons around them for many years. You know, like nuclear carriers carrying bombs, the bombers carrying nuclear weapon, and the island of Guam, there are bombers there. They can fly over to North Korea within like maybe 6 hours. They can carry nuclear weapon. So when Kim Jong-un says denuclearization, he is looking at the broad perspective of denuclearizing entire Korean peninsula. So we will get rid of nuclear weapon. How about yours? Kind of attitude. And this is where I think that Trump may become very effective because he's a president who makes very good monumental decisions, and he may see the point on this issue from both sides, where the previous presidents were not able to when they said denuclearize or denucleate North Korea. You know, not us.
You know, before I said that the only thing they could talk about was the nuclear threat, but that's not true. Obviously, they'll be talking about other things as well. What do you think would be the second topic that they might talk about?
Yeah, that's a good point you're making. I feel that actually the first point that he's making, or objective of talk that Kim Jong-un is proposing, is the economy, not the nuclear weapon system. He developed the nuclear weapon system and this missile, Hwasong 15 missile system that can deliver weapons to United States. But there was no intention, absolutely, for him, with that system, they're going to hit us. It was their nuclearization and missile system is for them to reach equal status of negotiation themselves and the United States. And that negotiation, main reason that he want to objective he want to pursue is improve the relationship, so that remove some of the embargoes and sanctions, so they can improve their economic status.
Right. So do you think this has been a long-term plan of Kim's? When he first started testing these nuclear missiles, was he thinking, right now I will be meeting with America to discuss ends of sanctions? You know what I'm saying? Did he have a plan in mind?
Yes. This is one of the mistaken concept American public on this guy, Kim Jong-un. You know, because of media perception of him and downgrading North Korea, he's described by American media as a person who is very young and fat and overweight, got a funny haircut, and unreliable. This is entirely untrue. When he moved into his position, his father's successor 6 years ago, he was only 28.
Right.
So according to Korean Confucius idea, you know, that's a very young age to be a head of the state. But he overcame that now. So he's got a fully respected leader now, although his age is still 33 or something like that. So he overcome that. Secondly, he was able to achieve full support from their military. North Korea, of course, is a military
Right.
state, so he has to be a president of the leader of the state. He will have to have 100% support from military, and he got that. There was some military at a higher level, not fully loyal to him, but he got rid of them by several different means.
Yeah, Donald Trump fires people. Kim has other ways,
Right, that way. So he's achieved a full leadership position now. So that means he's a very careful politician, and then having nuclear weapon system developed and missile testing in last couple of years, so we American public's view of him, he's a dangerous guy. He's developing a nuclear weapon and missile system, but his position is so that they could talk with United States on an equal basis, so that United States will listen to him. So that was carefully planned strategy.
Right.
And he now got to this stage. Now he suddenly says, I want to talk to you. He's already ready to talk.
Well,
if you look at his strategy and policy planning and implementation in the last 3-4 years, you will have to develop, you will develop a kind of a pretty good respect for toward him as a leader of the country. So he got to where he's at by step planning.
Right. He's
So
not impulsive.
Yeah, so he's not impulsive, and also he understands international relationship very well. This one thing that I want to mention. Recent trip by South Korean delegation to North Korea, Pyongyang, to meet with him in his place. They were surprised to find that in where he stays, Kim Jong-un, there's a CNN, Fox News, all this U.S. news media is there. So he's very well informed of what goes on in our society.
Okay.
It's entirely different from our perception. We don't know much about them, but he knows much, very well about us,
Right.
which I think is a good point, so that he can make his plan in the negotiation process, knowing where we stand.
Right.
Yeah.
Dr. Pak, what concessions does the United States have against North Korea? And which one of these concessions, in your opinion, do you think should be repealed or loosened up a little bit?
Okay. When war ended in 1953, they signed the Armistice Treaty in Panmunjom, and at the time, the promises that the U.S. made to them is that within 3 months we'll meet in Switzerland, and we'll establish normal diplomatic relationships. So that'll be the end of the war, not this armistice. But that didn't materialize.
Right.
So for over 7 years since then, the relationship between United States and North Korea had been never-ending. No hot war, but the relationship of war between us was not resolved.
Right.
So, to begin with, if the United States has a country in the world that has only a relationship with armistice, that means there's an embargo that in our law, those countries will have to suffer embargo from us. So they have that basic embargo. Enemy country, North Korea
Automatically gets
automatically. It's automatically North Korea is an enemy of the United States.
Right.
So that they impose on them a number of very strict sanctions. On top of that, whenever they have a problem with us, like Pueblo or Panmunjom event, whenever we have a bad relationship with them, we put sanctions and additional sanctions
Right.
on top of embargo. So we have now a total of 9 sanctions. And some of those sanctions are also placed by the United Nations, UN. And as you know, UN, to a large extent, the Security Council is under control by us.
Right.
So that's that's a sanction that we have. We can
They see that as
remove.
our handiwork as well.
So they see that as another U.S. sanction.
Sure.
So so traveling and communication and economy, trading, every aspect of North Korea as an international entity is under control.
Okay.
I cannot specifically mention one by one nine of the sanctions, but they were able to survive that. Main thing is that they were able to survive for 70 years. So those sanctions induced economic, they now accept themselves as a poverty state officially.
Really?
So, which I think is a good. Why are they in poverty? They all say it's because the sanctions were imposed on us by the United States. So mostly economic, political, human traveling, and in those areas. This is why their North Korean GDP, gross domestic product, is only 1/30 of South Korea. And so this is also why Kim Jong-un and his father Kim Jong-il and grandfather Kim Il-sung was able to control the country under such a tight political system. Their reason is that we are placed under sanction by the strongest country power in the world. So to survive that, we'll have to tighten our belt, and you guys will have to work hard and listen to whatever government or Labor Party tells you.
Right.
Otherwise, we'll collapse.
Right.
And that became kind of rule of law and status of the society.
And people would just,
Yes.
they were taught that this was very important.
Right. So my point is that if we want to introduce some loosening of political situation there, bring some democracy there, we have to get rid of sanctions so that people can have freedom to talk, comment on each other, and then maybe introduce more of democracy there.
That'd be great.
Sanction is actually imposing their dictatorship, giving them a stronger political power.
Yes, I can see how that would work the way it is. I mean, just what you just said, that they're using that as kind of a excuse, yes, to be so authoritarian.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads us to the next question about human rights. Do you think that'll come up if Trump and him meet?
I think human rights situation is a very important issue. And the issue that I raise whenever I visit North Korea, and then they all laugh about it, saying that we don't have a human rights issue. We don't have any political prison here. When that they say about 200,000 people are in political prisons in prison. And they would say, well, our total population is only 25 million, and 200,000 prisoners in the prison. That'll be a big part, big part of our population.
Yeah.
So they laugh at it. But I do know that in olden days, there was a prison in an area called the Yodok, and but they said they don't have that anymore. And then also, when I look at their situation, their society, people who could be arrested as a political prisoner, and then isolated in a prison, they really don't have much of a freedom in speech and activity and so forth. So how can they publicize their political opposition to current regime and Kim Jong-un.
Right.
So there wouldn't be too many people who qualified to be in the prison. Funny way of saying it.
Yes, I see what you mean.
So I think that human rights issue they are raising is mostly witnessed by the statements made by North Korean defectors
Right.
to South or United States.
Yeah, so you're saying a lot of propaganda is
Propaganda, yeah,
coming from the South
yeah,
to us.
and then also to make a living. If you are a defector and you make a statement in front of the Human Rights Commission of United Nations, you get paid money,
Okay.
sizable money. So this one way of making money for them.
I never heard of that.
Yeah, it is. It is
How
quite
much
true.
money are we talking here?
I really don't have the exact
But it's-
amount of money, but I heard that this may be wrong. I heard that when you appear and say yes or no, you already have $200 an hour.
Okay.
So that's a big money for them.
Right.
And so I think that it's wrong to make a judgment on human rights condition in North Korea based on defectors' statement. Defectors are the ones who left their country illegally. So they may have had some problem there in their society.
They have some issues.
Yeah, they must have an issue. So if you're defected from North Korea and living in United States and South Korea, you cannot really glorify North Korea. They would say, why don't you go back then? So.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's about the end of our time, Dr. Pak. It's been great talking to you about North Korea and South Korea and America and
Yes,
how
thank you.
they all are working together to hopefully bring more democracy to North Korea. So,
Right, more democracy and peace and economic, how should I put it, economic recovery or improve the people's living condition in North Korea.
right, it's more than just politics. It's a whole lifestyle.
Yes, and I think this is what Kim Jong-un wants, economy.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for watching another edition of Michigan Korean Times TV News Point. This is John Martin reporting.